always change. Even when we talk about speedlight now, we talk about the reception at the wedding. The situation is always, because one reception has got very bright lights and the next is very dark. The one has got a white ceiling, the one has got a yellow ceiling, the one has got a black ceiling. So it's never the same. I can't tell you, listen, when you walk into a wedding reception, this is the settings you need to, it's not going to work. Okay? Same with this. That's why I'm not telling you what is the setting of that. That's when Kut asked me about, would I always use a backlight with a big softbox, or would I use... It always changes, and it's for you to interpret. And that's the nice thing about photography. There's rules to photography, but they are there to be broken and for you to interpret what you like for your artistic eye. Okay. So with that in mind, I want you to really, in the next couple of weeks, watch movies and series or whatever you watch, and be aware of how light falls on people in those movies. One of the series on TV that I've seen so far with probably the best lighting is Suits. The lighting in the series Suits is, yes, it's amazing. I must say, especially the first 2 seasons. The last, I must say, I actually was quite disappointed in the last season of Suits, the lighting. It's as if, I'm not saying it is, I'm live, so I need to be careful what I'm saying, but it's as if they didn't have the budget they had in the first 2 seasons with regards to lighting. So they sort of scaled down on it. Most people probably won't see it, but for me, the lighting in the first 2 seasons of Suits, do yourself a favor, if you're not a Suits fan, maybe just watch 2 or 3 episodes of it just for lighting. Just see how they light those people, specifically the faces. It's really good. The hair light, the fill light, the main light, brilliant. I'm trying to think of another series that I've watched. There was a series I started watching last week, or the week before, that the lighting was also... I haven't seen that movie in so long, so I can't remember what the lighting was like. But there are so many series where you would, and most of them, broad light, short light would be the main sort of feature. And then for your more dramatic stuff, split light, maybe Rembrandt. So it's also amazing to see, because movies are, you're talking to someone, okay? But that actor was set in a specific spot, boom, he was told, your light is coming from that side, we want to short light you, perhaps you need to turn this way so we can thin you out a bit. When you move, always finish in that position. So you can talk, when you finish talking, finish in that position, we go over to the next guy. So you're always back to the short light. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I haven't been on a movie production, but that's what my thinking is. Because they do move. So short light, broad light, short light. But the point is, it's going back to the original. Okay, so speed lights. How many of you know that your speed light has a zoom function? Come on, put up those hands if you do. Okay, so some of you don't. How many of you shoot your flash in ETTL? How many of you shoot your flash in manual mode? Okay, a couple. How many of you shoot weddings and have changed batteries at least one time at a wedding? Okay. How many of you shoot weddings and all the time have to at least, hello, gaan met jou? Ek sien jou nou. How many of you have done weddings and have to, every single wedding, change batteries on the flash? Hands up. How many of you would believe me if I say I can shoot almost 2 weddings with 1 set of batteries? Okay, so let's go. So on your flash, you have a zoom function. And the zoom function works basically the same as a zoom lens. A 24, let's call it a 2470 zoom lens. So the zoom function on the Canons, and it says zoom, so just read the back of your Some of the cheaper brands and no-name brands, if I can call it, it doesn't have a zoom function, but most flashes do. And I'm going to hold it here by my mic down here so that the live audience can also hear it. Hopefully you guys in the back can hear it. It's not the loudest sound, but I'm going to zoom in and out with my flash, and you'll actually hear it move. Okay. Okay, so you can hear the flash move. So also you will actually be able to see it move. Can you zoom for the live audience, maybe zoom in on the flash here? I think they might be able to see it. But can you see there's parts moving inside? I'll zoom in again. It will come forward, or actually back. Now it will go forward. Can you see it? So, zoom. I know a lot of photographers who has never used, no, turn it the other way around because I think that's going to be the less. Who uses zoom? So I'm impressed. There's actually quite a few of you using the zoom function. Okay, so the zoom function has quite a bit of things that it works for. One of them, for instance, is if you have your flash on camera. Let's do it that way. Flash on camera pointing towards the ceiling. And your flash zoom is on 24 millimeters. The chances that you are going to get light spill, because that zoom function moves all the way to the front. Now I'm shooting at Heinrich. The flash is pointing that way because my camera is also pointing a bit down. I'm shooting down on Heinrich. And there's chances that I'm going to get spill that's going to hit direct light maybe halfway in his face or the upper part of his forehead. Especially if he's further away from me, then the chances become bigger and bigger. Okay. The biggest thing I use the zoom function for is, it's the same as snooker. Any of you play snooker or pool or have done it before? So snooker ball, if I hit the snooker ball to an angle, let's say at Kurt, and it hits good, it will go, say, that way. If I shoot a ball up to the ceiling in that direction, let's say where that cross is of the ceiling, it will come down this way. So light moves in the same way as a snooker ball. Okay. So we said earlier that, I think, yeah, we did say it, that the bigger the light source, the softer the light. Okay, so this is a very small light source. If I point this photo towards Heinrich and I take a photo of him, it's going to be nasty. I think let's do it. Don't you want to join me, Nina? Yes, Heinrich het vir 'n oomblik geskrik nou. Hy het gedog ek gaan nou 'n foto van hom vat. Ja, that's true. That's true. Okay, so staan vir my so net weer daar. So let's do nasty. Are you ready for nasty? Okay, so I just want to drop my flash power. Again, it's a guessing game. Let's go there. See. It will help if it goes off. Did it go off? Yeah. Okay, there we go. Let's up the power a bit. Check those beautiful shadows, guys. No, it's okay. No, you didn't. That almost looks like a butterfly. But look at that shadows under her chin and under her nose. Okay? So there's some fashion photographers that shoot like that for a very specific look. And if done right and the editing goes with it, it can actually look nice. Me, however, I don't do it ever. It's just nasty, number one. Number two, it's because it's a very small light source. So you can see there's super hard shadow lines. It's not like soft shadow lines that you want like we did with the soft box and stuff. All right, so let's talk about the snooker ball again. So what I do is I bounce light. And I know a lot of you know about bouncing light. And we come back to what is your light source. The flash is not your light source unless I point it directly at Heinrich. Then it becomes my light source. However, if I point the flash towards the ceiling, it goes up, but it comes back wider. But then my ceiling is my light source. So what happens? I get soft light. Do you agree? Because it's a bigger light source. So on a low ceiling, I would take my zoom function of my flash to 24 millimeters. So I create a wide one, and it comes back even wider. If it's 105 millimeter like that flash, it goes up like that, and some flashes will even do 200 mil. But it throws up a narrow beam, and it comes down slightly wider. So it depends on how harsh do you want the light. Because the wider it goes, the better. So 105 millimeters I would use at a wedding venue or any venue with a very high ceiling, say twice this height or even 3 times this height. And even more so maybe with a thatch roof or a roof that's high with reeds or naughty point ceiling type of vibe, and we'll talk about that just now, whether or not you can do it or not. So, because now, if you shoot with a 24 millimeter zoom to a high ceiling, you're shooting up a very wide angle light that's going to come back even wider. So, problem number 1 is you've got no control over the light really. Number 2 is that you lose a lot of power on the light because it just spills everywhere and it sort of gets lost. However, if you zoom in all the way on your flash, the 105 millimeter, you throw it up to the ceiling, it's a narrow beam coming up and it's coming back at you at quite a big one, but actually not too big, and you're not losing too much power. So what happens is you don't have to put your flash on full power all the time. So just coming back to manual and TTL, I don't shoot in TTL at all, never. I shoot manual only, because TTL decides the power that you meted for the shot, and it sort of decides on what it's going to give. And sometimes it's slightly overexposed or slightly underexposed, but also it wastes battery power. Whereas when you shoot manual, you save a lot of battery power because you decide what power the flash should put out. And it sounds like manual is like almost manual, you know. It's not a scary thing. It's actually so easy. The biggest thing with flash, when you shoot off-camera flash outside, indoors, whatever the case, except for studio lighting. Studio lighting works the other way around. But it can still, the method can still work for studio lighting, is to first expose for your subject, and then switch on the flash and bring in the flash. And we'll talk about that more just now. But I think you guys get, number 1, the concept of the zoom. Going in narrow, coming out wide. If you go out too wide, it will come back too wide. So if she's standing here and I'm using the ceiling, I would go 24 mil, maybe even 35. If I want slightly harsher shadows, I'd go 105. So perhaps let's take a photo or two. I'll do 25. Staan vir my so 'n bietjie soontoe. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to check how much of these ambient LEDs has an influence on my photo. Don't think that much. Yeah, there's a bit of there. Come slightly forward. We'll use it as a hair light rather than lighting your face. There we go. Now it's a bit of a hair light. Switching on my flash. Going to 24 millimeters, which is the widest on my flash. I think there's flashes that can go. Can Nikon's flashes go slightly wider? I'm not sure. I think some of them go to 14. All right, so let's go, and I'm gonna have to push my flash power. Let's see if that's okay. Ek wil jump op my camera, I can go even more. So here's the thing, guys. You will notice that I don't fiddle, and that's the big thing. I see people taking a photo of their subject after they set their ambient light settings. So their flash was off, they decided what ambient light they want on their model, and then they switch on their flash perhaps, take a photo, the photo's overexposed and suddenly they fiddle with their camera settings. Why? Don't fiddle with your camera, fiddle with your flash. Just up the power of the flash, down the power of the flash. People they're scared of flash and they freak out. And then suddenly that thing of the capacitor filling with energy is suddenly a problem, because now I lower the power and I take the next shot and it's still overexposed. Now I lower it even more, I take the shot and it's underexposed. Then I move it back and it's a back and front thing, because you didn't allow it, if I drop the power, to discharge and then fill up with a new setting. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm slightly out of power. It's because I'm trying to compensate for that. Come towards me. I'm going to compromise a bit on that by just dropping a f-stop. I'll talk about that. Just want to get a better exposure on her. That's better. All right, so here goes the actual shot. There we go. Okay, so the shadows under her nose is quite soft. It's beautiful. The shadows under her chin, you can see, is so much better than when I pointed the direct flash at her. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to zoom into 105. No camera settings changed, no flash settings changed. Just to see how much harsher the shadows will be. It won't be that big a difference, but there will be a difference. See if we can chuck it next to each other. Okay, it doesn't want to, but that's the last shot. You can see the shadow under her nose, slightly harsher than that one. If the seating was a meter lower, the difference would be significant. Then it would be quite a bit of a difference in terms of harshness of shadow. But I mean, I'm shooting this light up, and it becomes such a big light source that it's really coming back at a soft light. Okay. So I can also create directional light. So if you come on this side, so what I'm going to do now is 105mm zoom, because I don't want it too soft. I want a bit of contrast in it. I want you to turn your body that way. Why do I turn her body that way, guys? Yeah, because I'm turning her body, like we talked about in the first session, away from the light source. Because the light source is not my flash. The light source is now the wall, because I'm going to bounce from the wall. Let's see. This is going to be overexposed, I think. Slightly. Okay. I'm going to move it slightly back, drop my flash power. There we go. Move your face towards it. There we go. Slightly more. There we go. So looking at that image, slightly underexposed. You need to forgive me for the exposure. The only reason I'm underexposing or overexposing is because I need to compensate for these stereo lights. Because obviously now the flash doesn't have enough power. Those are stronger than the actual flash. Even if I shoot the flash at full power, it's sort of... But can you see how soft and beautiful that light is? No softbox, no nothing. Can you create that in a bridal room? Yes, you can. I actually still have a bit of power in my flash. Let's try nog. That's it. Lyf 'n bietjie meer daai kant toe. Jy kan so 'n tree agtertoe gee. Daai arms van jou inkry klaar. Ek het so nee, ek hou daarvan so gevou. As hy draai gesig hier nog, dan sê hy. Kyk daar. How beautiful is that, guys? Hey? With speed light. Ek het daai reflector gebring. Sien nie ongeen asseblief, chom. Do you like that, guys? Sorry, there's something in my eye. So, can I ask the studio maybe just to come and switch on this hair light for me, please? And then also, can we get the house lights down? That would be great. Awesome. So, I want to create a beautiful portrait for you guys with the flash quickly, where I don't have to worry now about say, ambient light like these LEDs and stuff. And I want to add a hair light as well. Now, a hair light, if you have a trigger, in your mind, I want you to think that this hair light is the sun. It's not the studio light, it's the sun. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my model. We're going to put our model here in front of the sun. There we go. Come slightly towards me. There we go. Perfect. We can get off the LED lights. Yeah, all of them. And then we can perhaps get the studio lights on, if that's okay, Nellis. But you can I think you can drop the power on the studio light. If you switch it on, I'll just quickly test it. Just want to see the brightness of it. I think it's going to be way too bright. Did it fire? It's actually fine, Nellis. It's fine. You can lift it, yes. Please lift it for me. Quite a bit. No, you can maar redelijk lig hoor, Tom. Yes, perfect. Thanks. All right. So again, I want to mention, and I don't want to shoot like this all the time because it's a bit tough for the live feed because there's no light for those cameras. So I'm going to be quick on this. But so again, I want to repeat myself in saying that softbox now is the sun. It's not a softbox, it's not a flash, it's the sun. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch off my flash and then create it. However, I need this flash to trigger the sun. Okay, so I can't switch off my flash because then the sun is down. Okay, so we've done that. You can see that my exposure for the sun on her hair is perfect. Okay, now I'm going to switch on my flash. And what we want to create here is sort of a nice beauty look. So now I'm switching on my flash. I'm going to check the settings on my flash. I'm going to up it a bit. I'm actually on full power. There we go. Keep it there. I think I have to probably get closer to you. There we go. So guys, I want to create a nice butterfly look for you guys, like I did with the studio lights. The shadow on her nose is slightly long for me. Do you agree? So what we're going to do is I'm going to lower my flash angle so that it hits a bit further and comes back. I'm probably going to lose a bit of power, but we'll see how we can manage that. Vou weer jou arms, laat ek nog gaan geef my so 'n bietjie net so 'n bietjie angled skouer. Yes. Lig ek klein bietjie. Ja, kyk straight vir die camera, ja, daar's hy. Yo, that popped in my ear. Let's see. You see, now I'm losing flash power. Okay, so let's do it again. I don't think the flash popped. The back one, okay. Okay, last one. Lig ek so klein bietjie. Ook is daai draai gesiggie bietjie daai. Daar's hy, net daar. Okay. So, that's the shot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to hold it under the gesê om net help vashou. And then we're going to fill in this. I wanted that you can 'n bietjie drop. And I want to fill in an angle like this. Gaan hom kan nou. Ek sien jou help. Okay. So if you can get very close to the look that we created with the soft boxes. By just angling your flash using a bigger light source. If you can get away in your head from your flash being the light source and creating a flash source, a light source, it will help you a lot. Before you sit down, Nina, I want to do one more of you just standing over there. Great stuff. I'm going to do one where we reflect like that again. And then I would like you to face there towards the wall. Ja, net je gesig. And we're going to point towards the wall. I'm at 105 mil at the moment still because I really want to create the most amount of light. That's the top power I can create in the studio with the speed light, is by zooming it all the way in and also putting it on full power. And obviously, yes, I can up my ISO to create a bit more power, and we'll talk about that now. But then that light now is going to be overexposed. So, and I don't have a remote for it. Okay, turn slightly more. There we go. Yeah, my moving. Look at that. Okay, I want you to turn your face slightly more. There we go. And I'm going to create a bit of a higher angle on it. There we go. Check that. So now I'm going to do one more, and I want you this time to bring the reflector quite close to it. Lift it higher for me, quite a bit higher. There we go. Closer. That's it. Brilliant. Look that way for me. More. There we go. Bit more. So the toughest thing about this is to ignore the natural light that you see on her face. Because she's moving her face. I see all kinds of other shadows. But I need to ignore that because I know what my light source is. The light that's coming through the window is not my light source. Don't let it confuse you. Don't let the ambient light, because my exposure, if I take the photo without the flash, is black. So I'm adding light. I'm painting with light. Look at that. Look how the reflector sort of on her ear, on those cheekbones, but yet the combination of a butterfly short light brings out the cheekbones, thins her out. Who wouldn't like a portrait like that? No studio light, nothing. Yeah, yeah. Now I want you to turn it around. If we now go for a slightly more dramatic look, just a bit more contrasty, you can lekker nou begin. That's fine. Otherwise you might get a lawsuit and your wife might be watching on TV. Okay, turn your face a bit more. There we go. Beautiful. Oops, I think my flash is... No, it's not. Just took a while to reload. Yes, there's a mooi foto. Can you see that, guys? I just want to delete one more so that I can just go between the two. So that is the one with the black side, and that is the one with the reflector. Black side, reflector. We can get the house lights on again if that's okay. So you guys can see that with playing with zoom, playing with manual, you can create a lot. So here's the big thing, guys. You're walking into a wedding ceremony. I hear a lot of photographers complaining about DJ lights, complaining about the LED lights, the videographer's LED light at a wedding. Use it to your advantage. If a videographer comes, he's standing, that guy's the videographer, we're about to do the first dance, he puts his video light over here, and it's like blasting the dance floor. Create it, use it. Perhaps get this angle. So now suddenly, it's a nice soft backlight. You use your flash and you shoot from this side, and use his light as an advantage to create something more beautiful. Or shoot with it, depending on your camera. Sometimes it works for you. So here's the big thing. How many of you know that within okay, let me ask this. Who doesn't know what synchronizing speed is with regards to flash? Do you all know what's the synchronizing speed? Okay, your synchronizing speed is basically within the parameters of your camera. So each flash sort of changes. Most of the cameras is like up to 200 shutter speed. You would see if, let's say you're on 2000 shutter speed, and you put we can actually do it. Can you all see the settings there at the bottom of the screen? Okay, so let's go to 2000, 3000 ISO, and we make our shutter speed, say, 1250. Okay, look what happened if I switch on my flash. I'm going to switch it on in 3, 2, 1. And I press the focus button, it jumps to 200. That's because the synchronizing speed of my flash is only allowing me a 200 shutter speed. Okay, so within the synchronizing speed, if I didn't explain it that well, please write it down, go Google it, go check it on YouTube. YouTube will explain it to you perfectly. Within the synchronizing speed, guys, your flash power is not influenced by shutter speed at all. So, if you just come and stand here for me. She stands over here. That is a light, say a chandelier or DJ light at a wedding. I'm photographing her from here. I'm taking the photo and I look at my photo and that light is overexposed on my photo for my liking. I can then up the shutter speed or down the shutter speed if I want to dim or bright that light. However, I don't have to change my flash settings because the flash settings will not change. The only thing that does change the flash settings is f-stop and ISO. If you change your ISO, that and the flash is going to change. If I change the f-stop, that and the flash is going to change. However, shutter speed, only that will change. This will remain the same. Does that make sense? So, if you complain about the DJ lights, up or down your shutter speed. If you want more of the DJ lights, some DJs, their lights is like, actually they're just there for the crowd. But it doesn't really show up on the photos. It's just not strong enough. Down your shutter speed. However, be careful not to get blurry shots. Now, yes, you can be careful, however, that you don't, how can I put it? Yeah, get blurry shots and then your flash, sorry, I lost my, Neil is bezig agter met the live feeding. What did I want to say? Oh yeah, okay. So if your shot is blurry, it's because you don't probably have enough flash power because your flash will freeze the frame. How many do you knows that? So I can even go, and that's where that rear curtain thing, I think someone asked that question earlier, is if I drop, say, my shutter speed to a 15th of a second, and I move like this and I take the shot, the ambient light and the candles and the chandeliers will create stripes and stuff, but the flash will freeze her unless you become even slower than that. Now, the blur that you will see, the flash frame of that person will be 100% frozen. The blur that you see is not the flash. The blur that you see is the ambient light that was busy lighting that person. So to get rid of the blur on that specific subject, just make your shutter speed slightly faster to see less blur on the person, but because the flash will freeze the person. Ek weet ek praat nou baie teoreties, maar ek hoop is okay. Any questions with regards to that? Not. Okay. So, I want to really stress this out, guys. Please, 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 when you start off with flash, I don't do this anymore because it's second nature for me. But if you start off with flash, switch your flash off. Take a photo of your subject and then decide what you want to do. Do you want more or less of DJ lights, fairy lights, whatever lights on the back of the person and in the background, or do you want more? Okay? And then switch on your flash and photograph the person. If it's under or overexposed, leave your camera alone, up or down your flash power. Simple as that. And from there, you dialed in. So, let's take a situation where people are sitting at the tables, they're busy eating, you want to say, or laughing or whatever, and there's these naked bulbs hanging. Now you take a photo, the photo comes out very orange, skin tones are red, orange, not nice, you set this white balance, it's still not nice, it's just not coming right. Switch off your camera, if you take the photo, most likely those naked bulbs are the cause of the biggest exposure on those people, and therefore they are orange and stuff. Then lower your ambient exposure by either your f-stop or your shutter speed or whatever the case. Switch on the flash and then take the photo, and you'll have a beautiful lit person with the flash. Does it? So decide what you want by switching off your flash. Then decide that ambient light and use the flash as a fill. That's going to be so easy for you guys. So I can really just come over here. Now, because of that light and that light, I'm going to, you know what, there's no lights here, so come towards me. I hope this cable is long enough. Come more. Okay. So I'm going to use these LED lights. Okay, the background's obviously not going to be the best, but I'm going to use the LED light for a hair light. What am I going to do? I'm going to switch off my flash. So we're going to take a picture of it and see what it looks like. There we go. So what would you guys say is that, although I just need to change my settings completely quick, otherwise this flash is not going to work. I have to go within the synchronizing speed, otherwise I'm going to confuse you guys. So let's just do it this way around. So I've upped my shutter speed, I've dropped my ISO. So let's do that rather. Otherwise, when I switch on my camera, the shutter speed is going to jump and you guys are going to go. All right, how's the exposure for you guys on the hair? Is that okay? Is it too bright, too low? Would you like it up or down? Is that okay? Okay, so great. Glad you like it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shoot her. Boom. Okay, now she's a bit bright. She looks a bit bright, eh? Just about. So I'm going to drop my flash power. I leave my camera settings alone. Okay, there we go. Turn your body slightly that way for me. Face that way. There we go. Boom. There we go. Do you like it? Yes. All right. So let's just see if I can prove my point. The shutter speed at this stage is 160. Just stand like that again for me. I'm going to go 200 shutter speed now without changing anything else. So what's going to happen? Flash power is going to remain the same. Background's going to go darker. Do you agree? Okay. Staan so bietjie daai kant toe. Draai jou lyf 'n bietjie daai kant toe. Gesiggie nog, daar's hy. Okay, so I'm going to compare. Can you see the slight difference in exposure in the background? But no flash power. If her face looks like a different exposure, it's just because my distance from her may be changed, or the direction I pointed the flash may be changed. But it's definitely not because of the shutter speed. But I mean, how's that for a portrait? No softbox, no fancy modifier, no nothing. I'm using the fairy lights in the background or the chandelier hanging there. It's on her hair. And if you guys want to see, I've got a couple of weddings on my phone. If you guys want to come and see what it looks like wedding photos like this, you're more than welcome to ask me afterwards. So guys, be aware of where your light comes from. See how, when you drive, see how light falls on the countrysides. When you sit in a restaurant, be aware of how light falls on people and fall in love with light. It's going to take your photography from this to this. Do yourself a favor. I said it to the guys yesterday. Here's a challenge for you guys. For the next 3 days, take an apple in your kitchen, put it on a table where you sort of know there's nice light. You'll have to wake up at sunset or sunrise. Sunrise is late. It's 8 o'clock. If you're not awake by then, you've got a nice life. Okay. Gee whiz, yeah. Yes, 2 days ago was hectic, 3:30. Anyways, so guys, take an apple, pick a nice light spot in your kitchen, put it there, see what it does at sunrise, check what it does at sunset, pick a different spot for 3 days until you find the perfect light for that apple. Then style it with some leaves and some berries and whatever and take a photo. Don't touch your camera for the first 3 days. Take the apple, move it around. It doesn't have to be the kitchen. You can do it in the rest of the house as well. If you know there's a nice lighting spot at a certain time of the day. I used the example yesterday of when you maybe vacuum your house or dust your house and it's like at sunset or in the morning when the sun rises. Sometimes a beam of light comes through the window and you see all the dust particles. So what you can do is put the apple there, dust a bit, take the photo, and you've got this moment. And maybe you load it on Instagram and it gets 1 million hits like a freaking egg. If you haven't seen it, the photo that's got the most likes and views on Instagram is a photo of an egg. I'm serious. Go check it out. So I'm going to open it up, guys, for questions. Let's start off. Let's just give the guys time to ask questions about flashlights, and then we'll go over to the rest. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes to ask questions about this. And then also for the viewers at home, if you have any questions, please pop those questions in the comment bar under the video, and they will read the questions to me, and I will then answer them. So any questions from you guys?
How do you know at which angle to set your flash? Is it instinctive? It seems to be instinctive to you.
Yeah, it is instinctive.
Instinctive.
It is instinctive to me, but it all boils down to those lighting settings I showed you earlier. So I point the flash to an angle to which I know it will come back to create a short light, a broad light, butterfly lighting, Rembrandt lighting, or butterfly lighting. So this last one, that's sort of a short light / broad light. Where's that other one? Let's go back to, say, that one. That's a short light. So it all depends on the kind of lighting I want to create on her. At a wedding, I'm not too focused. Let's say it's the reception of the wedding. I'm not too focused at broad light, short light, whatever. I go at what I believe will give me the best light. So a lot of times, let's talk about quickly just thatch roof, multi-point ceilings, reed ceilings, like some venues have. I bounce off it, no problem. It, however, sucks up quite a bit of, it absorbs quite a lot of flash power, so you have to up your flash power, but then I use white balance. So that yellow that comes down, just use your white balance and it fixes it. It's not a problem really. It's obviously not ideal, but sometimes I get ceilings that they are naughty point ceilings or yellow wooden ceilings or whatever the case, but the walls are grey brick walls like that, or grey concrete, or white walls. Then instead of bouncing up, I'll bounce at the walls. Okay, so you can use walls, you can use pillars, you can use anything to bounce off. Like I told you earlier, I've bounced off a tree.
What about glass?
Glass you can bounce off. The problem with glass is it might be reflecting like a mirror. If I bounce into a mirror, it comes back, it creates sharp lines and stuff. It's really not nice. However, a venue like Devote, I bounce off that glass as well. But I try to bounce on the little pillars that goes in between the glass panels. So you get a glass panel. So I point my flash to the panel. You get a bit rid of the glassy effect. It is a challenge, but it's doable. My last wedding at Devote, no off-camera flash. I only used bounce flash. But I realized that using the pillars and stuff, you can actually get away with it.
I think one of the previous questions before our break was, what about that light spot on the forehead? So by bouncing the flash, you lose that.
So, it's great that you mentioned that question that was asked earlier today about the forehead. by bouncing the flash, you're going to eliminate quite a bit of it. But it also has to do with makeup. So if the bride's makeup is not like properly done, or she's sweaty, that will create that reflective kind of look. But good makeup and then proper bouncing will eliminate that.
How do you deal with the studio setup of a family where the entire family are all wearing spectacles? How do you get the flash out of the...
Well, you can ask them to take off spectacles. The person behind you also asks, so just keep the mic for now. So the spectacle shadows will reduce if you use bigger light sources. So it will help quite a lot because it will become quite a bit softer. Do you mind fetching your spectacles quick? Yeah. Krijg jy jou bril?
You can find it.
Yo! Good. Anyways, so for the people out there that didn't know Koot's comment, he said if she can find it. Niels, I'm just going to do one shot for the guys. They've got a question with regards to glasses. Just for interest's sake, guys, if you do a glass photo shoot for, say, a brand like Ray-Ban or Oakley or whatever, a lot of times those brands, they remove the glasses in the shoot. So it's only the frame. So they cheat a bit. So you can always ask your people to remove the... So what I'm going to... So while we wait, here she comes. Look how stunning she looks in her glasses. All right, so I'm going to use this again. Just want to pop up the trigger quickly. Looks like we're going to run out of time today, which is a good thing. She can see. Hi, I'm Kobus. Okay, staan gee vir my hierso. Net. Dan gee vir my sommer hier's okay. Okay, I have no idea what settings we are on. I'm going to drop to 100 ISO quick. Come on. Switch on. 100 ISO. And my guess is it's right. Let's see. Turn your body from that way. There we go. Did it go off? No. Not. Let's try again. There we go. That sounded a little bit hectic. That's actually not bad. Can you see that the shadows of the glasses now, her glasses is actually quite a bit bigger. I want you to maak to die wit toppie. Daar sê. Great stuff. En dan draai jy gesiggie nog bietjie meer. Drop jy klein bietjie. Oh, bietjie op. Nog klein bietjie. There we go. Klein bietjie nog op. Ken jy? Daar sê. Net daar draai gesiggie nog. The reason I'm telling her to up her chin is because the frame of the glasses was cutting her eyeballs. And I wanted her eyes to be quite a bit higher. So can you see the lines of the glasses is quite soft. And this is not that big a softbox. If I go to a softbox like that one there, it will become even softer. With regards to reflection, if you see the reflection, remember that light moves like a snooker ball. So it will come in, let's say we use that softbox and she's the model, it will come in and then come towards the camera. So if you see it in your photo, the actual softbox in the frame, you'll have to move your light so that it doesn't, it's like almost seeing myself in a mirror, or it's like, I can now see the TV. I can see her on the TV, I can see the picture, okay? Now I'll have to ask her to move out of the mirror, because the glass is a mirror. So just move out of the mirror. Okay, so it's that concept.
The online question was actually specifically referring to people with darker skin tones, because of obviously your light bouncing differently off of...
Okay, yes.
So if you're going to shed some light, especially with group photos, when you've got lighter skin tones with darker skin tones, I always find that's a bit tricky.
With regards to reflections.
Yes, and you know, the harsh
Yeah. Look, there's nothing much you can really do about it. If you want to Photoshop it out, by all means do that. But with a darker skin tone, if there's reflection, it is what it is. The only thing that you can really do is to move them into a shaded area, or see where the light is coming from. But I mean, a guy with a bald head like himself, excuse me for pointing you out, there's going to be shine. I mean, that man polishes his head every morning. There's going to be shine because he wants to look all smart. So it is what it is. What I would do in the old days, in the old days, the cameras, I don't know if Heinrich remembers, but in the old days with the cameras, if you have a groom with a black suit and a bride with a white dress and you expose, it was very tough to expose for both. And you used to sort of aim in the middle, get the exposure where the dark suit and the white sort of splits. So you get a mid exposure and then try to fix it. These days with the dynamic range of cameras, that's not a problem anymore. I can lift up the shadows on the suit and the dress will still be fine. But to expose for a wedding dress 10, 12, 13 years ago was a mission. And the same with flash. Any questions?
Kobus, I don't know whether this can be a tip or what, because I know you use the reflector as a fill light or catch lights for your eyes. But I see people, especially outside, where they put the subject with the back against the sun, and then they use a reflector, but they put the reflector quite low. So am I right in saying it's better to put the reflector like you would use your flash?
I'm very happy that you've asked that question. Thank you for that brilliant question. Did everyone hear his question over here? Okay, so we actually touched on that yesterday, and I forgot to mention it today. So have you ever, excuse me? Sal jy gou my foon vir my asseblief? Okay. So I don't know if you've done it. Some of you younger people haven't. Some of the older people probably has. But in the old days, you didn't get a phone. You get a torch. Okay? So I had a sister. I have a sister, not had. I have a sister. She's 2 years younger than me. So we used to play a lot. But obviously, I was a boy, but naughty. And I would go at night and chase her around and say, "Oh, vang," you know? And you remember how scary that looked with a torch under your face? So that causes what I call, I don't know if it's the actual photography term, but I call it ghost lighting, okay? Do not ghost light your subject, okay? But there is an exception. The exception is that if I have the reflector, so now my sun, are you talking about specifically into the sun, eh? Shooting into the sun. Yeah. I'm shooting into the sun, and I have a reflector here. Depending on the power of the light coming up, the light bouncing up at it can cause ghost lighting. Ghost lighting for me is light that makes all the shadows go upwards. In other words, so no shadows goes upward. These, what do you call them? Lashes, the shadows will go upwards instead of down. You know what I'm saying? Her lip shadow will be above the lip and not under the lip. You get what I'm saying? That's ghost lighting for me. So you need to be aware of that. One example I also used yesterday was that if you taking a photo, I see a lot of photographers, they take photos of a bride standing in the doorway of the room maybe that she got dressed in on the outside, and the sun is falling on the tiles, and the tiles are reflecting upwards, and it's ghost lighting. They don't realize it, but it's ghost lighting. The shadows goes up, and if the light is right, your client will just like your photos a bit more than the photographer next to you. You will just stand out a bit more. They won't be able to tell you, "Oh, that photographer did ghost lighting, you did not." They don't have a clue. All they know is it appeals to them more. So be careful of photographing on a concrete slab at a wedding. Maybe you're just doing an upper body shot, but because of the concrete slab, the sun is reflecting and giving you ghost lighting. All the shadows are going upwards instead of down. You Don't want that. It's scary. Okay, so thank you for that question. So basically, to just finish his question or answering his question is, it would be better to hold the reflector high up and bounce the sun down at her. If, however, there's enough light coming from the top, you can do the fill from the bottom like we did with the beauty shot. Okay. I'm opening up the floor. We're almost out of time. We'll go slightly over time without the people out there maybe, I don't know. But throw out questions, anything.
Just coming back to the speed light where you use it to mimic the beauty dish. If I'm right, it did caught a bit of the curtain shading. Maybe was that because of it bounces towards the back as well?
No, it won't catch the shading of the curtain.
Because
The
it was.
light, this for light would be more a flat surface, specifically because it's black.
Yeah, because it did look a bit less black at the back.
Oh, you mean about that? Yeah, yes. It might have bounced onto the background, definitely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to eliminate that is to actually move everything.
Yes, you can move the client further away from the background. So if you come towards me quick. So if actually stond so 'n bietjie nader aan die background. I have no idea what to put my settings to now. Let's guess. Let's see. Let's say that, for example. Okay, I'm not going to change my settings. Come towards me. Actually, the exposure on the background is not going to change much now because I see the LEDs are lighting up. You can see the LEDs is on the... But you were right. If I now take a photo and those LEDs are off, it will be pitch black because then the flash is too far away to light up the curtains. Okay, thanks. Okay. Yeah.
With regards to your photography, your wedding photography, do you often or sometimes not use any light except the sun?
I don't use lights at all.
Yeah, okay,
I haven't
thought
for
so.
the last year and a half.
Okay.
I used to be a off-camera flash specialist in a sense and using it quite a lot. I think for the last 2 years actually I haven't used flashes at all except for the reception. But couple shoot and during the day no flash at all. Natural light. But I use these methods. So perhaps you guys can quickly send my phone around. I'll show you one photo. Sorry for the guys that I don't know if you can zoom in and maybe let's zoom in and I'm gonna hold it. I don't think the audience is gonna quickly show it to the guys at home. Sorry for not having it on the screen. I should probably have done that. Good? Okay. I'm going to quickly show it to you guys. That's all natural light. But you can see how I sort of use the sun to make it. Just send it around. Don't click on it because it's going to lock if you do. Although just touch the screen every now and then. Otherwise, it's going to lock as well. But just send it around. That's all natural light. So the thing is, if you understand these methods, understand the lighting types, understand how light works and flashlight works, you can create stuff that looks like flashlight and it's not. There's many reasons why I don't use flash anymore, and I'm not going to get into that now because there's a lot of people I think would like to maybe ask a couple of questions. Again, I want to ask the guys online, if you have any questions, please ask them. We'll check on the comment box for those questions. We're going to sign off in about 2 minutes' time. So pop in those questions quick and I'll answer them for you. Any questions here in the studio with regards to anything wedding related, wedding photography related, not necessarily today.
So you were saying that you do not use flash you use natural light for your images now, couple shoots, etc. So, for example, when you're shooting at a certain time of day and, for example, you need to have Table Mountain behind you and then the sun is falling at a certain, there's only so much you can do to angle.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would still not use an off-camera flash?
No.
Okay.
If I can't get the shot with natural light at this stage in my career, I don't get the shot.
Okay.
I don't even take off-camera flash with me.
Wow, okay.
Yes, I take speedlights with me, but speedlights anyways is not strong enough to do that.
Yes.
I sold all my off-camera gear.
So you would rather, you would just not get the shot?
Yeah.
Then okay, so you're not editing, light,
No.
taking different versions of a shot and editing,
No.
composing.
No.
Okay.
But my clients also know that. My clients look at my work and they book me for my work, so they're not expecting that. And I would tell them it's just not possible. However, I am actually thinking of starting to reintroduce off-camera flash into my work with a bit of a difference. So keep an eye out for it. If it happens, it happens. Hopefully Godox will sponsor me or something. But I want to say one last thing, guys. The 27th of July, that's in 2 weeks' time, I've got a wedding workshop, full-day wedding workshop in Stellenbosch. It's going to be, before I say what's it going to be about, if somebody asked me the other day, if there's one thing I would do differently in my career of photography, what would it be? And it is that I would have studied the business of wedding photography and photography in general harder than I would learning photography itself. Because you can be a brilliant photographer, but if you don't know business, you're going to fall out the bus. You can be an average photographer, know business, and do brilliant. So this course I've developed, I call it the all-in workshop, because I'm going to put everything out on the table. SEO, Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing, how to create an experience for your clients. We're going to touch on my editing. We're going to do editing workflow on Lightroom. We're going to show you how I edit my images. And then we're going to end off with the shoot. So if you wanted to know more about that, you can either email me at info@kobustollig.co.za, or you can, for those of you here, you can come and see me afterwards, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much. I think a round of applause would be appropriate. Thank you so much, Kobus. That was very informative. Guys, go follow him on Instagram as well. He's going to do a lot of live tutorials. I follow him, so he do a lot of live tutorials. So if you follow him on Instagram, you'll get a notification. I'm going live at 12 for a Q&A session. So guys, feel free to follow him. And if you like to know more, book your workshop with him. So yeah, thank you so much, Kobus.